Welcome to the Light at the End of the Funnel podcast with your host, Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark, #1 best-selling author, speaker, and dream client attraction specialist. Real conversations for real results. Here, entrepreneurs and small business owners share what happens on the journey to success, the nitty-gritty, the highs and lows, the ahas that brought them to the light at the end of the funnel. Now, here's Danielle.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Light at the End of the Funnel. Today I have a wonderful guest for you guys, LaFaye Pye, and she is a success and accountability coach who helps spirited entrepreneurs, coaches, and course creators gain the courage, knowledge, and fundamental skills they need to become profitable online. So she's not only able to help you break down the barriers of fear, which we're going to talk more about, and overwhelm and procrastination, but she shifts them into more joyful, calm, and easy, actionable steps. She can provide you with the business structure strategies and a full doable marketing plan. And I suspect it's not just doable, it's actually simplified from what we've talked about, LaFaye. So I am so excited to have you on board today. Thank you so much.
I'm excited to be here, Danielle.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So you have such a wonderful story, and it's a powerful story too. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to open up the floor for you to tell us why visibility was so challenging for you.
Wow, we're going to jump right into it.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. I would have to say that visibility was really challenging for me because of a past issue that I had gone through. So I was engaged when I was really young, and the man I was engaged to I became pregnant, and he became very insecure and overpowering to the point where I decided I had to leave because it was becoming abusive. And when I decided that I wanted to leave, my son, who hadn't had his first birthday, hadn't even taken his first steps, almost died. He literally came at us, kind of went crazy to simplify it, and we both almost died. So I honestly didn't think I was going to see my son take his first steps. Thought I was going to watch him die that night. And I'm going to try not to cry. Mm-hmm. So it was super scary. We went to court. We went to family court and criminal court, and I got full custody of my son. Thank God. So, as horrible as this story sounds, it turned out for the better because I didn't end up having to share custody with my son. And if his biological father even so much as wrote him a letter, he would have been thrown back in jail. So we had, 18 or 19 years without him, but I was super scared that he was going to walk right through that peace bond again. And men or women or, they do that. And it had happened the first time that he had walked through the peace bond, and that's how we almost lost our life. So we left, we moved to a different province, and I really became scared of being visible. Yeah. I really became scared that he was going to find us and it was going to happen again. I feared for my child's life. Mm-hmm. So that fear really clung to me, and it really did something internally to shift my energy from, a powerful individual to somebody who was scared for their child's life.
Yeah. It's incredible, whenever, and I think that it's not just entrepreneurship, but I do tell people, I'm like, if you really want to go through some transformation, become an entrepreneur, because all your stuff comes back, right? It comes
you have to do it.
Yes. So, you have an incredible story. And gosh, if anyone can understand visibility and fear, I think it's definitely you. So I'm so happy that you're here to share your experience with everyone. And I'd love for you to kind of tell us, as you started building your business, how that fear of visibility started coming up for you.
Sure.
And what you did.
So the fear of visibility really started to come up, I noticed, when I wanted to coach. Yeah. So I loved coaching people one-to-one. I didn't have an issue with that. I also didn't have an issue really making videos and putting them out. What I did have an issue with was anything live, where I would be standing in front of a group of people, or, on a Facebook Live, something like that, that became a really big issue for me, because it was like, what if he shows up and says something or does something, and how am I going to react? How am I going to deal with this? So that became really difficult, and that fear plagued me in a way that held me back from doing it. But as I did more videos, as I did more coaching, I realized, I can handle this. I have support. I have people who want to hear what I have to say. They trust my coaching. They want more of it. So I'm going to let them and their energy empower me to know that I can handle this situation if something does come up.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's such a good point. I'm really glad that you shared that. So let's just put this into something where we can get the audience a little bit more, something juicier for them. And so let's just say that they have a fear of visibility. Same thing as you. What is the first step that you would recommend they take when that fear of stepping out and being visible comes right up in their face? The first step.
The very first step, I would say, is to journal it out.
Very nice.
I really would, because when they start to journal, then they get to bring up all that fear. And I would get them to close their eyes and visualize that they're standing in front of those people, or that they're doing that thing that they're afraid of. Sorry. And really start to journal it out. Just imagine what's happening and how they're going to deal with it. Getting that out and switching the story around on paper is so much easier. And it filters through our frequency and our energy in a way that it starts to shift it. So when you realize that you have control of your thoughts and you can change the story as it comes up, it gives you a bit more safety, and it actually gives you a feeling of comfort. So if by doing that the first time, then it shifts everything. Then you can take the step one step farther and start to do something a little bit more, I don't want to say courageous, but a little bit more out there, out of your comfort zone, and maybe to do a live or to speak to somebody about it. So I guess that was more like 2 steps.
No, that's good. I was going to ask you, what was step number 2? So since we've got step number 1 is to journal, step number 2 is to slowly step outside of that comfort zone, what would step number 3 be? I like 3s.
Yeah, step number 3 would be to do it, but just to take a tiny, small step towards doing it, so that you still feel in control and you still feel safe and you still feel comfortable.
Good. Beautiful. Okay. So those are some 3 simple steps, guys, to be more visible. And I love how you're speaking about, energy and also the fear that comes up. And we talked a little bit about it a little bit before. So we're not going to shift drastically from visibility into fear, but let's just talk about fear. And there's 2 different types of fears, and you were saying those 2 different types. Can you explain that to the audience?
Sure. The first fear is the fear of the unknown. And then the other fear is something that gets stuck in our energy. So sometimes we have this fear of what's going to happen. And we let our mind kind of wander about the worst case scenario. So these fears aren't really founded in anything that's happened to us. They're more futuristic. And then we have the fear of something that has actually happened, and it's created, I want to say, like a shadow in our energy, or a hole in our energy, something that really brings everything forward, so that we are literally stuck in our tracks and afraid to move forward, where the other one is just what if. Now, both of them can be just as intimidating, and both of them can be just as real. But what I have to say about the second one, whereas if it's something that's actually happened, sometimes it gets built upon and built upon and built upon in the negative, rather than it stopping and shifting to anything positive. Do you want me to tell you what I mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So if we take my my fear, for example, which was, my son, I was afraid I was going to watch him die. That fear started to build up in me even more, because I thought as I became visible, his biological father would find him, and then his life would be in danger again. So that went from the fear of this has happened before, and I had this small black shadow on it, to becoming a huge black hole, because my mind was wandering into the future of this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. But by journaling it out, and I'm going to go back to journaling, but by journaling it out and giving gratitude for all the things that happened, then I was able to shift that and make that big black hole shrink again. So my gratitude around that situation was, I have full custody of my son. I do not have to share my son. I get to make all the decisions for my son's life and how he's going to mature and the type of man that's going to become his stepfather. I get to choose these things.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, my son got to choose as well.
Mm-hmm.
This journaling shifted everything.
Mm-hmm.
It made it so that he could, or we could, go from this big dark black hole into a place of gratitude and shrink it again. And I think without journaling and switching the story around to something positive,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would have been able to become visible.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're touching upon a couple of things that are really beneficial for the audience to have success, even with fear. So not only are you identifying two different types of fear, like the one that's just the fear of unknown, and we talked a little bit on that, because you can kind of tell there's on the other side of that, there's excitement. So that's a really good way to feel it out. And then the second one is, the real fear that keeps you stuck. It keeps you stuck right where you are. And, I think everyone can identify with that type of fear. And then what happens when they're in that fear? They get stuck, they procrastinate, they don't fulfill their dreams. But the best part is that you gave examples like journaling and gratitude to help get over that stuck fear, like that stuckness that can keep you in that fear.
Well, that's what creates the mind shift.
Yeah.
And then once you create the mind shift, then you can start to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't move forward unless we're feeling, I want to say love or gratitude, because once you start to feel that, then you can actually move your body forward to take the actions that you need to do what you need to do. And then you'll find that you're able to move into a place of joy,
Mm-hmm.
and love and acceptance. And when you're able to do that, then things will start to fall into place in the right way.
Yeah. Well, and this all kind of brings you up to the next point, which is prosperity. Because I know that a lot of people, right now they're like, I could use prosperity, but I have no idea how to capture that. So can you explain how the steps that we're leading up to can gain you prosperity?
Sure. So each one of us are different when it comes to prosperity. We all think of it differently.
Yeah.
So some of us think of prosperity as, a good job, stable income. Some of us think of prosperity as great health.
Mm-hmm.
And some people don't think that they have prosperity unless they have $1 million in the bank.
Mm-hmm. And
other people, even if they had $1 million in the bank, they would still be afraid of losing that.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I teach is actually that we all have an archetype. And with those archetypes that we have, there's 8 of them, is that shows us a pathway of how we're already thinking,
Mm-hmm.
a pathway that we're already on, and how to expand upon that
Mm-hmm.
in a better way, so that we understand what prosperity means to us. We get clear on it, and we're able to move in the direction that we want to go.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. So once really identifying, right?
Identifying, yeah.
Identifying.
And what I was going to say is, like, when it comes to money, like, a lot of people think, well, I shouldn't say a lot of people, it's more common for some people to have an archetype that thinks that, we have to work hard for money. Like, that's a very common one for women entrepreneurs. Whereas for me, my archetype is a bit different than most people. I don't have a fear around money at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit more like a gambler. So it's nothing for me to take a chance with $10,000 or $20,000 knowing that I could lose it.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't bring up any type of fear in me. But if somebody was to say, losing that money was going to affect your child's health, whoa, that's totally different for me. Whereas somebody else,
it's a different risk assessment, huh? I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah.
Yeah. But whereas other people, they would never even think to risk that much. For them, risking $200 is huge, and it brings up a lot of fear and could even make them sweat. So they have to move in what makes them feel good towards their prosperity.
Yeah, which is actually interesting, and I think that all the stuff that comes up when we're talking, I think money is a great catalyst for actually going in a little bit deeper, because it's what I tell my clients is that, money or the lack of money, abundance, prosperity, that's just the surface layer. There's something much deeper underneath that. And until you can go to that deeper place and discover and unlock that, then the money issues are going to just keep piling.
Yeah, because if you think of money as just being a transfer of energy, because
Yes.
really that's what we're doing. We're transferring, one gift to another. So if we pay somebody money for a service, we want that service. We want that creativity that they've built, something that they've built. And a lot of people don't think of money as an exchange in energy. They think of it as something that's so tangible that it's wrapped up in their security.
Yep, absolutely. So we talked about 2 different archetypes. Do they have names, your archetypes?
Yeah, they do. So there's the celebrity. There is the ruler. There's, if I can think of them all off the top of my head, the nurturer. We have the rebel, the romantic, and a couple of other ones I can't think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, just tell us what you can remember. That it's interesting. I'd love to hear more about. Are you the rebel?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I bet you're the rebel.
I am. And there's an alchemist too. So
the alchemist. Is there a common one? Is there one that a lot of people?
The nurturer.
The nurturer.
The nurturer is really common, and it's I deal a lot with women, so we a lot of times give more than we want to receive. And so as far as the nurturer goes, people a lot of times don't have money, or don't feel like they're very prosperous, will give away more than they actually have to make somebody else feel better. And that's part of the shadow side of the nurturer.
Okay. What's the okay, so the shadow side of the nurturer, that is
that they would give more than they actually have. Yeah.
They have. Now, what are some of the feelings that come up? And I want to touch upon this because it's a popular one, and I have a feeling that there's a lot of audience members that can relate to this. So, what are some of the feelings that come up for the nurturer, the darker side of the nurturer?
Okay. It would be like they give to the point of martyrism, really, right? So, with the nurturer, they want to help. They've got a huge heart. They're big caregivers. It's like, how we are with our kids. We want the best for them. A nurturer wants the best for their family. They want the best for their planet. They want the best for their animals. They really are a caregiver. But what happens with the nurturer on the shadow side is that they give to the point of depletion. So instead of one of their big challenges is that they have to stand in their power or their energy until their cup is full, and then give from the soft saucer. So if we were talking about the cup getting full of water and then the water overflowing into the saucer, that's the saucer, the water from the saucer that they need to give to everybody, but they don't. They fill up their cup and then they give until their cup is empty. And then they wonder why they're tired and they have no energy and they have no money. And then they find a way to fill up their cup again, but before their cup even gets full, they start giving it all away again.
Yeah. Yes, I can see why women would naturally be the nurturers. And I think the audience members, guys, I think there's a lot of you guys that are nurturers down the time, because it sounds like what you're saying it sounds like a lot of the pain points that
the majority of people are nurturers.
Yeah, which is wonderful.
Yeah, it absolutely is
wonderful. So before we move on to your free gift, because it's a wonderful free gift that goes so well with the interview, how does a nurturer stand in his or her power?
The best way to stand in their power would actually be to fill up their cup. So to be able to learn to say no or not yet. It's really hard for a nurturer to say no. They want to say yes to everything. They want to help everybody. But just to get the phrase, I'm sorry, just let me think about that, or no, not yet. That way it doesn't close them off. It doesn't make them feel dirty or slimy. It makes them feel a little bit more empowered without having to say no completely.
Yeah. And I will say that a lot of newbie entrepreneurs are the yes, more, yes, more, without actually taking a step back, because they are trying to do everything at once. So, and be out there and be visible. And that's when people get burnt out. I've done it myself. I've totally done it myself. And I've done it more than once. Done it more than twice, probably more than 3 times. So I love that you're speaking to this because you're bringing in the business aspect of it too, which is, not right now. So you have no and you have yes and then not right now. Let me revisit that. So and that's so essential in business development, especially those first few months, the first year, actually first couple of years is very important. So thanks for touching on that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love how that just folded right in. So you have a wonderful free gift. And I'm really excited for you to share it with everyone because it goes so well with everything you've talked about so far.
So the Success Journal is something that I created for myself a couple of years ago. But as I was coaching, I realized that a lot of my clients really needed something to keep track and to stay focused. One of the biggest things that we need to learn how to do is to come from a place of joy in our business and in our lives rather than coming from a place of fear. And the best way to do that is to journal. But what I found was that I wanted something that held everything. So one place where I could put my gratitude list, where I could journal, where I could put my success thoughts, where I could actually write down my goals. Because, I've heard it say that the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire is that a millionaire writes down their goals once a day, whereas a billionaire writes down their goals twice a day. And those people struggling with prosperity don't write down their goals at all.
Yep.
So there's also a place in here for people to write down their goals twice a day. And then they can also write down their 3 most pressing appointments. And there's also a space for them to break down those goals into tiny, tiny little steps so that they're always moving forward towards their big goal. Because sometimes it takes, 3 months to a couple of years to create a big goal. So if they're always moving on it, it's the consistency and the actions that really help. And by journaling it, they get to get out all of those negative thoughts and replace it into a positive way. And this way it stays all in one spot. So there's also a couple other pieces about decluttering and upgrading and then how to flow money as well.
Yeah. And I love that you're saying twice a day with your goals. And it goes back to kind of what we were talking about with the nurturer. This is really important, is that if you have those goals in front of you, as things come in, it can be a yes or no. So it's a wonderful reminder throughout the day. You didn't even know you were doing that. That's part of what you're helping them do is kind of coming back to those goals and focus, which is so essential and very challenging as an entrepreneur because there's so many shiny objects. But having it twice a day and having your goals right there in a success journal is going to keep on course.
Yeah, and I really like the idea that the reason I did it is because it really helped me to write it down every morning when I first got up and to write it down again before I went to bed at night because that cemented it. This is, and you'll find too that a lot of people will write down a goal and then it, like you said, they get shiny object syndrome and the goals change. But then they'll go back and they'll go, well, why didn't I ever build that house that I wanted to build? And they realize that they're not focusing in the right spots. The road keeps moving. And this way it doesn't. They get to stay on that straighter path.
Oh, beautiful. Guys, go grab it. If you guys are having a hard time with shiny object syndromes, you need this journal. So go grab it. It will be available on the show notes page. And yes, you guys can listen to the end of the audio to get access to the show notes page so you can grab her gift. So, and if you want to tell them the link to it right now, it's a long link though, isn't it?
It is.
Okay. We'll just put it on the show notes page, guys.
Thank you.
And if you're in iTunes, you'll see it. You can see it right in iTunes as well. You can see her show notes page URL right in iTunes. Click on that, go and check out her bio and then her free gift for you. So there you go. Thanks so much, LaFaye. So anything that you'd like to leave the audience member with before we wrap it up?
I guess the biggest thing whether you get my journal or not, really journal. And you create your own life. So journal it and think about it in a way that you want it and create the life that you want.
Yeah, so well put. And you said it, you get to create. So you said that more than once throughout this, you get to create that. So
I truly believe that. I believe that we create our fears, we create the loves of our life. We create it all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so well said. Thanks so much for coming on today. We really appreciate you
Thanks,
and
Danielle.
your wonderful free gifts. So go grab that, guys. And we will be back next week with another episode of Light at the End of the Funnel. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark here from Light at the End of the Funnel. Thanks again for joining us today for another amazing episode. If you want to go grab those free gifts, head on over to the opt-in page at bit.ly/light@end-of-funnel. Again, that is bit.ly/light@end-of-funnel. And you can opt in to receive the most up-to-date information, interviews, and free gifts from our amazing experts. In the meantime, keep a lookout for Entrepreneur City Live, which is coming to you in October 2018. And we are having that here in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is for entrepreneurs and small business owners looking to up-level their business and their presence. So keep a lookout on the opt-in page for that information. And please feel free to reach out with any questions.